Hi, everybody. I'm here with Nerida Rooney, and we're talking about recruiter enablement. So, Nerida, thank you for joining me. Give us a quick introduction to you.
Thank you for having me. Nerida Rooney. I'm the head of employer brand and strategic resourcing at Kier Group, which is a infrastructure construction business. I've been here for 5 years, or almost 5 years. And prior to working at Kier, I was at Carlsberg in the UK, and then prior to that, I worked at a lot of charities, so Amnesty International, Save the Children, and Refuge. A very varied mixture of experience, but been in TA for 20 years, which makes me feel incredibly old.
Okay, so first off, what to you is recruiter enablement?
So I think this is one of those things that, like, when you sent the question over, it was such an obvious answer because, look, it is just, giving the recruiters the tools to be able to do the job, but it is absolutely more than that, because it's how do we achieve what we need to achieve by giving them those tools. So our recruiters speak to candidates all day long. Yeah, they are the first face or the first voice that they hear when candidates are looking for a role. So they have to be advocates of the brand each and every day. They're on telephone calls or on Teams calls with candidates. So you need to give them the tools to be able to enable them to do their job and for it to be at their fingerprint. So little things like a team's background, like that represents who we are, the first thing the candidates see. How do we give them some of those tools to enable that? And it is more than just teams backgrounds or job adverts, talent insights, those sorts of things. But how do you give them the knowledge to know what candidates are looking for in an employer and how to market this? Because recruiters love to chat, we know that, but they're not great marketeers. So how do we enable them to give them what they need to do that job?
Great. Okay, so tell us about maybe anything that you've done which has been particularly effective, and like what was the benefit that it created?
So some of the things we've done recently. So we recently launched a people campaign called This Is Kier, which has been incredibly successful, and it sort of was created with on a Monday. I would always ask the team or people that I'd speak to, what did you do on the weekend, or how were the kids? And I found that people lit up when they talked about themselves and what they were doing outside of work versus what they were doing inside of work.
Right.
So we created that campaign to be able to showcase what people do inside and outside. So for me, I'm a netballer. I do netball outside of work. It allows me to switch off, which is amazing. But we actually learned so much more about the people that work for us and some of those common interests, whether it's our one of our business leaders is a ballerina outside of work, or one of our operatives is actually a professional skateboarder. So being able to have those conversations and learn more about them, that's been incredibly successful, not just internally and getting to know people, but our candidates have also really responded to that. We found that they felt like they could have some sort of an alliance with those hiring managers or recruiters because they knew more about them. It increased their applications as well by over 100% during that time as well. So it's been incredibly successful for us, but it also enabled those recruiters to be able to be a bit vulnerable themselves, but also learn more about their hiring manager community as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so how do you make that accessible to recruiters once it's created so that it's like, as you said, at their fingertips?
Yeah, so most of the This Is Care sort of images that the business had, we shared them all over socials. We shared them all over our sort of internal platform, Your Care, as well. But also people have the option to include it as part of their team's sort of photos as well. I've got it as my LinkedIn photo and my LinkedIn banner as well, and we'll be
Yeah.
utilizing actually a lot of the content from that campaign for our new careers site as well that will launch. So it allows recruiters to be able to send to candidates information about our people, by clicking the new careers site. But also they can share their own with candidates or with hiring managers so that they can get to know each other. So we've had sessions internally as well where we've sort of been like, okay, who here is an army miniature painter? Like, you know, who is it? Who do we think it's going to be? And it's a little, I mean, we know recruiters love a competition. So little things like that just help us get to know our people. But it also gives candidates just a knowing of who we are as well.
Was it you, the army miniature painter?
I wasn't. I was the netballer, thankfully. But do you know what? It really surprised me. Some of the hobbies that we had in the team, there was somebody who actually was a massive metalhead and would go to all of these really sort of heavy metal concerts. And I would never have known, like, you know, to the way they sort of hold themselves, you know, the conversations I've had with them in the past, would never have known. And now we talk about it all the time with that. So yeah, it helps open up those conversations.
Slightly more general question, like what's happening in, obviously the world is quite dynamic in terms of like recruiting and jobs and things like that. What's happening in your industry?
So construction it's a difficult one actually, because you know we actually announced our annual results today. So we've had a really positive year, which is really great because we've had, you know, a really tough 5 years, but we're coming out of that sort of world now, and it's really lovely to be able to say to candidates, look, you know, we are in profit, and we've had, you know, a really great year. So that's going to be helpful for recruiters, but also for candidates. But within our sector alone, you know, we've not seen a slowdown in vacancies like in Kier, because actually we have, you know, between 800 and 1,500 vacancies at any one time. So still quite heavy volume. But what we have seen is some of our competitors have had to go into administration. So thankfully, a few weeks ago, we were able to save a division for one of our competitors. So we've now 2-bid those in, which is great for us as a business, but also for them to have employment. So it is difficult for some organisations, and we will always do what we can to reach out to those that may be affected. You know, even if it's not with us, how do we support them in the broader market to find opportunities?
What's the number one skill set that you need to hire most of?
I mean, skill set's a difficult one. Number one job is probably quantity surveyors or engineers. Like they're the two key ones that we hire a lot of. But actually, that's what it is now. What is it in the future? Is it going to be more digital roles? Like it's yeah. But at the moment, today, it is definitely QSs and engineers.
It's so difficult because like I've got kids who are 6 and 9 years old, and I want to be able to tell them in the next few years like what sorts of jobs are going to be in demand and things like that. But you can't necessarily say to a 9-year-old, yeah, go and train as a quantity surveyor. It's the most in-demand job out there, because it might not be by the time they're adults.
I think that's a fair challenge as well. I think, you know, and I've got a 10 and 6-year-old, so I'm constantly like, well, how can I support them? And that whole emerging talent piece is so fascinating because we need to inspire the next generation to think about different careers. For me, it will always be university is not the only option. Yeah, I think you know, we need to really start empowering our teens to think about degree apprenticeships, because then you get your degree, but you also get that experience. So you're not going to, you know, you're not going to have a degree and not use it. You're doing it at the same time, and also you don't have to pay for it. You know, organizations pay for that. So yeah.
Nerida, thank you very much for your time. It's been great to find out about your comments on recruiter enablement, and also a little bit more bonus material on like what's going on in your industry as well. So very much appreciated. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.